Hello again. So I get in this like downward spiral of bad ideas when like I don't see the path forward. I think the past 2 months have been figuring out what the story is and then kind of committing to it. And then I guess as you have like the proper incentives, you align, you have that story, that's when God allows the resources and allows you to have movement forward. Or else if you don't, establish the proper story, you might hop on the wrong one and then be in a downward spiral. You see what I mean? So last night was kind of like a revelation because I had a couple offers on the table the past week that the first time since I've had one sponsored video, right? So the first time since the start of the year that's been on the table. And this past week, like everything, basically I said yes to 3 offers. And so then that would mean like actually making money for once in my social media career. So then all the past weeks and months of like establishing what the storyline is. What am I going to do next? Running a marathon in every country and kind of committing to that idea. Even though it sounds really scary. Like I even saying it now, I want to kind of revert back to just doing 26 marathons. But I feel like it's got to be the countries. I don't know. Nonetheless, kind of committing to that story, resources make themselves available so that I can move forward on the path. Because like time is running out, it's April of 2025. And so for me to start January 1st, 2026, I would have to have a lot of things fall into place. And it's not that they would fall into place, like if this is God's will, then like it's already been written and like it's already there. I just have to go out and do it. That whole thing of like when I ran Indianapolis and God was like, what? I've given you the strength. All you have to do is run. The whole race, I was like, God, I need some strength. I need the energy. It's like, Wyatt, I've given you the strength. All you have to do is run. I think it's the same with all of us, right? And so then in these moments where you get a little bit scared, it's like, hey, he's giving you the intuition. If you're really leaning into God's will, then just take a step and it'll be the best step that you could have taken. And along the way, if you're wrong, it will be corrected, God's not going to let you wander too far off the path. Anyways, I'm here in Boston. Look how beautiful this is. Just crazy. Boston Marathon is in 3 days. And yeah, this is kind of like the turning point. So I get to run the Boston Marathon on Sunday, unofficially. Everyone else will run it Monday, officially. Maybe next year when I run a marathon in every country, I'll be able to do Boston. But yeah, I think you got to commit to something and then you move towards it. And when you really flesh out all the options and like have the proper alignment, God will open up the path, open up the doors. So it doesn't actually really scare me. It's just like, I don't know, it's weird to like say a big idea on camera. I say a lot of big ideas here. And it's easy for me to just say them and then never go back. But I have to keep in mind that like the reason why I'm doing this is to have a record of it so that whether or not I follow through with it, we know what my train of thought was leading up to it. And so like whatever happens, let's say I did only 26, you can see that this is part of the evolution of coming to that conclusion. Or if it's like, no, I'm going to go for every single country, which I'm leaning towards that right now, we can see that like, last night was really a turning point. What was the turning point? What was the turning point is that I had one deal lined up for 3 videos with a big company and my first shoe deal, right? So first time where I'll actually make money from social media. And then it was going to be paid out like in a couple months and I'm running out of money and I have to do the 7 Wonders trip this summer and I want to do the hitchhiking next. I want to order the shorts and flatten the wood. Like, sorry if the wind is blowing. There's so many things that I want to do. So then there was another thing on the table, but we don't really have clarity there. My agent and I have an agent who's representing me now. And then it's not as glamorous as it sounds. It's really just someone that I watch his videos on social media and then I reached out to him and we vibe. We're good business partners and he makes 20%. There we go. Like, but then yesterday we had a confirmation on a deal that would be paid out before I go on the 7 Wonders trip, which kind of allows me to start making decisions. That was what was happening. So I'm in a public space. I can't really talk about numbers, but I'll talk about numbers more specifically when I get back to the Airbnb tonight. I am reading the rest of God though, and that's the whole point. Is just like have the proper incentive. You know, what are you doing this all for? Is it for God's will? Is it for the glory of the Lord? Or is it for selfish ambition, right? Because evil necessarily corrupts itself. So if it's not for the proper reason, then, you know, you won't succeed. Or if you do, it'll be much less than you could have succeeded. Like there's this whole compounding, have the proper aim and everything else falls into place. The things that you don't understand will fall into place. Future generations will fall into place. You know what I mean? Like, it'll be the benefit of everyone if you aim up for God. So that's all I'll do. Maybe that's all that it is. Maybe that's the learning lesson here. Whatever I end up doing, it's like run 26, run all 200. Like, is it truly for the glory of the Lord, or am I just trying to start a career? Am I just trying to have a cool story to tell? You know, money and then fame, that would be those two. And then am I just trying to have interesting experiences? That would be the third category. Like the immediate gratification. If it's not for any of those 3 things, or like, let me rephrase that. If those 3 things are at the peak, your incentive is not aligned properly. You need to change it to be for God, or else you will corrupt yourself. So you might be able to achieve these things, but it will corrupt you. What's a good example of that? Like a volcano on top of like a wooden island, you know, or a fire on a boat. That's a better one. Like a fire on the boat is gonna, unless properly contained, it's gonna burn through the boat, and you're gonna sink. And so the fire will be put out. You see what I mean? If it's not properly contained, not properly oriented. All right, I'm eating something for dinner. Why don't us?